Good evening. This is Donna Blumquist, librarian at the LaSalle Public Library. Welcome to tonight's virtual program, Get the Scoop on Cool Desserts. But before we begin, just 3 programming reminders. On Tuesday, August 8th at 6 p.m. Central Time, the library will host an in-person program with historian and author Mark Walsinski when he talks about his newly released nonfiction book, Joliet and Marquette, A New History of the 1673 Expedition. And on Tuesday, August 15th at 6 p.m. Central Time, the library will virtually host historian and educator Carolyn Kissiel presenting Lives in Code, Stories of African American Resilience under the Illinois Black Codes 1819 to 1865. This program is funded through the Illinois Humanities State Agency. And this is actually part 2 of a program that we had prior, so please try to tune in for it. And on Tuesday, August 22nd at 6 p.m. Central, the library will virtually host author Claire Evans for a preview of her humorous memoir, High Tea and the Lowdown, Guide to Misunderstanding British English. Claire's book will be available on August 31st. As always, all library programming is free and open to the public. It is also shareable, so feel free to pass the information on to others. And now for tonight's, I think, delicious program, we welcome Natalie Martin. Natalie, are you there?
I am here. Hi, everybody. Oh, I am here. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. It's been a while since we've done a virtual program together, and I'm happy to be back today. So it's getting super hot. Obviously, it's already super hot if you are living near me in Illinois. But we are going to cover some ice cream recipes tonight. Not all ice creams. Some of them are just very cold desserts, but we're covering those and hoping to kind of cool you down. And some of them require, one of them requires no special equipment at all, which I love. But then all of them are going to be utilizing either a mixer, or the other ones are going to be utilizing a mixer or like a blender or a food processor. So nothing that requires anything crazy. We're not going to use an ice cream machine tonight. I didn't want that to be the barrier to anybody trying any of these recipes. So we'll use a mixer or a hand mixer, so you can use either one. And then a food processor or a blender, again, either one. So please definitely try these at home, and we want to hear, send Donna and Rachel your comments if you do try them at home. We want to hear about it. So a little bit about me. I am Natalie Martin. I'm a master gardener and food enthusiast and home cook. I have done a lot of trial and error on food, and so therefore that's my only qualifier here. So we're all just home cooks together. All of these things that we do tonight, you should be able to do yourself. If you're wondering where I am at, I am here in the Starved Rock region. I'm in Oglesby, Illinois. So you can too make cool desserts no matter where you're from. All right, the first one we're gonna make is a granita. And a granita is a fruit-based, like shaved ice almost. And the way that you're going to make this granita, all I'm using is a jar to mix in, but you can use a bowl or whatever, things like that. When you make a granita, while I'm talking, I'm going to squeeze some lemons because this one takes a lot of lemon juice. When you probably, and when you're picking so we're gonna make a lemon granita. It's kind of like a chipped up ice dessert. So when we're going to make it, we're going to freeze it in a flat metal container. It can be a glass container, but it will freeze faster in metal because metal conducts the temperature a lot better. And so you can chip it all up and make it better. So we're going to make that. Eventually, we're going to put it in the freezer, but we're going to squeeze a bunch of lemons first. When I'm choosing lemons to use for something like this, you can use whatever lemons you have. I have like I got them at Aldi and they're called like a lemonade lemon, but a Meyer lemon would be a great choice. If you wanted to do a different kind of fruit, you could do whatever fruit you wanted because granitas can be made, watermelon granita would be great, but you're not going to blend it. So when you are making a granita, whatever juice or puree that you use, you want to make sure you strain it ahead of time so that you don't have all of the pulp and seeds and stuff, because I think it'll kind of affect your experience when you're having it. So I'm using just lemon juice today. That's the same one. Donna and Rachel have the recipes, and that's the same from the recipe. They use lemon zest and juice for their recipe, and I'm going to do that as well. But if you wanted to use any sort of fruit juice would work just fine. If you pureed watermelon and strained it, that would be amazing. Again, we don't want the seeds in there. A lot of times you'll do like a mixed berry, and so you'll take the seeds and the pulp of the berries out and just use kind of the juice. So any kind of juice you want is great for you. You can use orange juice or anything like that for this granita. The moral of the story is that it's bright and fresh. We want the tartness, but we also have some sweetness as well. And so when we're using this, I'm using the juice from the lemons, but I'm also going to use the zest. Now I'm using organic lemons, but I also washed them because we're taking the skins right off. So we want to make sure that there's no chemicals or even just like finger grease and dirt and stuff like that on there. So we want to make sure that that is not in there. And I'm going to make about a teaspoon of lemon zest, and I'm just going to grate it right in with my juice because I'm going to mix it all together in a second. As always, if you haven't done one of my programs before, I measure a lot of things with my heart, but I believe the recipe calls for about a teaspoon. You might be wondering the difference between using lemon juice and lemon zest. Lemon zest is going to have way more concentrated lemon flavor. It's going to be a much more powerful version of like the lemon juice. It also has some oils in it. So like if you've ever used an essential oil, it's got just a lot more potency because of the oil. So if we were taking an essential oil, it would come right from the zest of this lemon. So using the zest just makes it a lot more powerful. If you haven't used a microplane before, that's what this tool is, but a fine grater will work as well. I'm going to say that's probably good. Again, measure it however you'd like. You can grate it onto a surface and then measure it like in a measuring spoon as well. That would work. I like to eyeball things, just makes me feel good. So I'm going to squeeze a couple more lemons. And the whole process behind a granita is we started with a simple syrup, and that's what I've got in this jar. It's cold, it's chilled now because I wanted it to be ready for tonight, but I basically took, let's see, it was about 4 cups of water and about a 3/4 cup or so, maybe a cup and a quarter. I measured it with weight, so it's a little different. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, 3/4 cups of sugar. So I brought that to like a medium heat earlier today, and until the sugar was dissolved, and that's going to make a simple syrup. So again, we're not blending anything. We're going to shake it all together here in a little bit, but we're whatever kind of simple syrup you want. If you wanted to add herbs or other flavorings, doing it in the simple syrup is a great opportunity to get that flavor right in from the beginning. So we're almost done. I'm going to squeeze this last one. We need about 7 ounces of lemon juice, which is kind of a lot. If you look, here's the amount of lemon juice that I have right now. That's kind of a lot, but it's also going to give it this beautiful color. You might be wondering why my simple syrup is kind of brownish. I'm using an unrefined sugar in here, so that's why mine is a little bit darker in color than yours might be. I'm hoping this will all fit. Oh well. Oops, we want to get all our zest in there though. We don't want to waste that. So I am going to take this now and I'm going to shake it. And the reason I'm going to do that is just to get the lemon juice incorporated with the lemon zest. Again, you could do this in a bowl and just mix it all together, or in a big glass measuring cup and use a whisk. Again, we're adding the simple syrup that's already had the sugar dissolved into it, and it's got into the water, and we've got lemon juice and lemon zest. And then I'm going to take this shallow cookie sheet. Now, this might be not enough for this space, but this is what's going to fit in my freezer right now. So the nice thing is that If it doesn't all fit, if I can't pour all of this, this is just lemonade. So if it doesn't all fit into your tray, you can just use this with lemonade, make this the whatever's left over and make it into lemonade the next day, or keep it in your fridge for lemonade concentrate. So I'm going to pour this in here. Actually, I think it might all fit. And I can see some nice here. I'm going to switch to my other camera in a second. But when I put it, ooh, I'm going to spill it. Let me switch around so you guys can actually see what it looks like. So you can kind of see, you can see flecks of lemon into my juice and all that stuff. So I'm going to take this whole sheet pan and I'm going to put it right into my freezer, just nice and flat in my freezer. And I hopefully will get some results while we're on air today. But what the goal is it's going to start to freeze. I'm going to put it in there and we're going to check it in 10 minutes. And when we're in 10 minutes, when we check it, I'm going to start to pull it from the sides and make it so that it starts to get craggy and all those ice crystals start to build up. So we'll check on it. I'm going to put it in there right now and we'll check on it in just a little bit. I should have made sure I had freezer space for all of this stuff. Here we go. All right. I used to have a deep freeze and now I'm living a single freezer lifestyle and it's problematic. All right. There we go. All right, it's right on the top. So that's a granita. Again, you can make a granita out of just about anything. I'm gonna try to pin my video here. There we go. You can make a granita out of just about everything. Any fruit that you can juice, you can turn into a granita. You can take, instead of that 7 ounces of lemon juice, you would do 7 ounces of whatever juice you want. You can add herbs to it. You can add herbs to your syrup. It's ultimately very, very versatile. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. In the recipe that I shared with you guys, they take their lemons and they cut them in half and they make them into little lemon cups and they serve the granita into little lemon cups. So that's very fun as well. And you could scoop it up and put all of your lemon cups with the granita scooped into it, into your freezer. And it would be a perfect, like, fun summer party dessert. So absolutely give that a try and then let us know if you do. And we've got a couple more things. So we're going to check on that again as it starts to build up and freeze up. We'll check on it in a little bit here. The next thing we're going to make is a sorbet. And a sorbet is a dairy-free ice cream. So I feel like, you hear a lot about vegan or dairy-free ice creams. Sorbet, it was has always been naturally dairy-free. It's basically fruit. It's just fruit that's blended up with sugar to make it into an ice cream type dessert. This is, again, a non-ice cream maker dessert. So we are going to be doing this and we're not going to need an ice cream maker for it at all. I need to switch out my stuff here. I will need a little bit more lemon juice. So we'll squeeze some more lemons, but that's going to be right at the end. What I'm using for this, and I'm going to switch my camera again. What I'm using for this is peaches. You could use, it's the perfect time of year to get actual peaches. These are frozen peaches. And I chose the frozen peaches because I didn't have to peel the peaches. I didn't want to for this just because it's time consuming, but if you have access to fresh peaches, what a perfect idea for a way to use them. It can kind of preserve them and stuff like that. So we're putting them in a food processor. This is going to be about half of what the recipe calls for. So we halved it. And so it's going to be peaches and sugar. And truly, that's all we're putting in it right now. As we start to blend it, and let me know, please, if it starts to get too loud. I should be buffering it with Zoom, but you can see we're going to start to blend it. It's going to start to turn into a paste. I'll give you a little status update here. You can see we're starting to, it's chunky. We're going to blend it a little bit more because we want all of that sugar to break down. We want it to start to dissolve. And the only way it's going to do that is with percussion. So we're going to break it, hit it again and again and again against itself, and it'll stop being grainy and turn into a beautiful, smooth sorbet. Check it again. You can see it's starting to break down even more. Another reason that I chose this peach one, you can use whatever fruit you want. Peaches don't have any seeds. So if you wanted to choose a raspberry or a strawberry, absolutely go for it. I would just strain it after this blending period because it's having seeds in it is fine, but sorbet is a lot more I shouldn't say enjoyable because it tastes good. But it's a lot more smooth and like luscious, I guess, when you can take the seeds out. All right, I think we are good. So again, we have some lemon juice that we're going to need. This is where, again, you can measure with your heart, but also your taste buds. If you don't want the lemon juice is kind of just highlighting the peaches. So you don't need a ton. We're going to only do like a teaspoon really. And you're not going to put it in all at once. We're going to blend it one more time and see how it tastes. But the lemon is going to brighten up the peach. And just kind of, especially when you're using something like frozen peaches, having something that can brighten up can get rid of that freezer taste from it a little bit. All right. And look at how beautiful and orange. If you're using a fresh peach, it will be even brighter of a color. So absolutely, it's a great thing, but you can use it either fresh or frozen. All right, that tastes really good. So it's going to have this nice peachy flavor, really bright. And then as it freezes, the flavor will change a little bit because it'll kind of take on this frozen crystally kind of sensation that goes along with it. So I think it tastes really good. You can kind of taste the brightness from the lemon, but it's not overwhelming, which is exactly what we want. So now you can tell it's not frozen. So what do we have to do? I have a couple of containers that I like. This, you can see it's kind of shallow and also wide and flat. The bigger container you have, so like the deeper, I guess, the thicker your ice cream is, the longer it's going to take to freeze. So I like this one because I can make it a little wide and shallow. It'll still take a couple hours, 3 to 4 hours to freeze in this kind of container. In a deeper container, it'll take more like 6. But you can get it to a soft consistency, frozen consistency in 3 to 4 hours, which is nice. I was also working with, they were thawed, but they were slightly frozen still, these peaches. So mine might take a little less time because they're already very cold. So you can just pour this. I don't have a camera angle for you guys. Let's see. We're going to just pour this and you can see how beautiful it is. Right into here. You can see most of my chunks are gone. And I've got this just beautiful peach flavor or peach color. I did half the recipe. If you're wondering about quantity, I did cut the recipe in half. Now you can do this with just because I didn't need 3 full recipes of iced desserts here in my house, but this recipe would work with any kind of fruit. You can see, maybe not like a heavy citrus fruit with a high acid content like oranges, but you could still try it and it would just be a little bit pulpy. But you could absolutely use this recipe with any fruit. The whole idea is you take 4 to 1 fruit to sugar. So if it's 4 cups of sugar, 4 cups of fruit, it'll be 1 cup of sugar. You could do an alternate sweetener in this if you wanted to, but it's going to take some trial and error. If you have like a 1-to-1 sweetener, that would be your best option, like a stevia or something like that. Whatever your preferred sweetener is, you could probably get away with it. Something like a honey that adds a little bit of liquid might be a little harder to do just because we don't want it to be super wet and soupy. It will affect kind of the freezing texture. If it's going to be a more liquid like that, you may want to throw it into an ice cream machine, because if it's got a high water content, high liquid content, it will freeze into like an ice cube block. We want to be able to scoop it with like an ice cream scoop and scoop it up. So those, I guess, are my suggestions if you're gonna adjust the sweetener or stuff like that. Again, you can cover that with like some like saran wrap or something like that. I would press it down right to the surface so it doesn't get like a skin. And that will kind of help keep it nice and fresh in the freezer while it freezes. And then the best suggestion is to put a lid on it. And if to put a lid on it to keep it fresh for a long period of time. So we've made two things. Both were fruit-based. The next one is going to be non-fruit-based. It's going to be a coffee ice cream, and it's going to have a whipped cream base. And I wanted to do a little bit of everything. So we had 2 dairy-free desserts, which would be great for any crowd. And honestly, I don't think that there's anybody that, even as an ice cream fan, that would be like, bummer. But if you do want a dairy option, this is a great way to do a dairy option with a no churn. So no churn just means we're not using an ice cream machine. We are going to be making a whipped cream right off the bat, and then we will move on to it's going to be a whipped cream base that has all of our stuff right in it. So let me grab, I have a cold bowl. I'm starting with a cold bowl and cold whipped cream. This is heavy whipping cream. So just from the grocery store, just heavy whipping cream. We're going to, again, I started with a cold bowl, and the reason that I do that is when you have cold, like you have cold cream and cold bowl, the fat that is in, now we're talking about fat here, it's gross, but it's also what makes ice cream really smooth and luscious and stuff like that. But the fat that is in that heavy whipping cream is in a cold bowl, it'll freeze at a different texture. So it'll build up to whipped cream faster, and it'll stay whipped cream longer if you start with a cold bowl. I'm really sorry, there's somebody mowing their lawn right outside my window. All right, so what is this ice cream made of? This ice cream is made up of heavy whipping cream. We've got sweetened condensed milk, so double the dairy. We're not messing around today. We've got the original recipe called for Kahlua. I didn't have Kahlua, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a hack with you here. So I've got some very strong espresso that I'm going to be, espresso that I'm going to be using that's blended. And then we're also going to add some instant espresso granules. And so this is going to just really bump up that coffee flavor. If you're not familiar with Kahlua, Kahlua is a coffee liqueur. So it's an alcohol product. You might be wondering if you can make it alcohol free. I am making it with alcohol this time, but that is because it helps with the freezing texture. If you don't want to have alcohol in it at all, totally fine. Just omit it. It'll just kind of change the texture slightly. It'll maybe be a little icier than if the alcohol is in it. So I'm going to pour in about half this can of sweetened condensed milk. It calls for about 2/3 of a cup. I'm going to pour in my heavy whipping cream. I'm going to pour in 2 tablespoons of this strong, oh my gosh, a dog is barking. 2 tablespoons of this espresso. And then I'm going to be putting in 2 tablespoons of espresso granules. All right, there we go. And then I'm just going to whip the heck out of it. We're going to start, I'm going to switch my camera angle here. I'm going to let it mix in. You can see it's starting to dissolve. I'm going to let it mix in a little bit. And then I'm going to bump it up and start to get it faster and faster. I'm going to scrape the side so that all of that espresso mixes in. All right, you can see the beautiful color that we've got going on. You can see a lot of those espresso granules are already mixing in. And if a couple don't get completely mixed in, that's totally fine. It'll just be like a little, like it shouldn't be a big pocket, but it'll be a little pocket of a coffee flavor, which is kind of nice. So now that we are fully mixed in, I'm going to bump it up. And as we kind of mix it together, you will see it build up in the air will build up inside of it. You might be asking if you can add, like do the whipped cream and then fold all of the rest of it in. Absolutely, you can mix that ahead of time and it will be more of like a coffee swirl, which would be really fun. So you would mix the sweetened condensed milk, the espresso, and the espresso powder, and then you would mix it all together. All right, I'm going to scrape the bottom just to make sure we got all of that sweetened condensed milk off the bottom of this. We'll go for it again. You can see it's already starting to build up air inside of it. Again, that cold bowl and the cold cream are going to help those fat globules start to build up and hold that air inside of it. I think I mentioned this before. I added just a tiny, like a little teaspoon of vodka to this to go along with the espresso. And that's going to help it build up that, or help stop it from building up ice crystals inside of the ice cream as it's freezing. We'll check on that in a second. So the beauty of coffee ice cream is that it's a little bit sweet, but it's a little bit bitter, right? So that's what we're hoping to go for with our flavor profiles here. The nice thing about this ice cream mix is that you can taste test it before you go on. Like you can taste test and say like, oh yeah, I've got the right balance of sweet and bitter because there's no egg. A lot of other ice cream bases are going to have custard inside of it. And the custard would mean a dairy and an egg all mixed together. So you wouldn't be able to have the raw ice cream custard without it being frozen. And then but you can also kind of try to taste test it a little bit after you've tempered it and stuff like that as you bring it up to temperature. All right, let's check on this. You can see it's starting to thicken up. We're getting a little, it's coating our spoon now, which looks amazing. We're going to let it go for a little while longer until it gets a little thicker. We're not going to go quite, if you're familiar with like stiff peaks kind of thing, we're not going to go all the way there. And we don't want to make coffee butter. And butter is going to be if we whip it too hard and it gets, the fat starts to, get stuck together. That's going to be butter. So we don't need coffee butter, but hey, that also sounds kind of good. So we're going to keep it going for a little while longer. If you wanted to do this in your ice cream machine, if you really liked it and wanted to use it, you would just mix all of your ingredients ahead of time and then throw them in your ice cream machine. I think it'll still be really good because that you would want to keep everything kind of cold, and then the ice cream machine would help freeze it all together. But you could do it easily here. What we're going to do is mix it until it's aerated, and then we'll put it in the freezer, and that'll be really great as well. So we're getting really close. I'll show you what it looks like now. You can see as it's mixing, you can see the trail of the mixer going through it. So you can tell that's how you're starting to get close. You can see as it pulls off of, it's a lot thicker. So we're really, really close, maybe another minute or so, and it's ready to rumble. We're going to watch it as it comes together, and you should be able to see it go from like kind of loose to thick whipped cream texture in just a matter of seconds. You can watch the trail of the beater going around, and as it kind of thickens up, it'll stay in place. That trail will not disappear. it will continue to build and build and build those peaks. Let's take another look at it, and you can see where it's at this stage. So you can see now the trail has stayed. We've got, as I try to get it to fall off, it doesn't want to fall off the what you call it, the spatula. You can see as I scrape it, it kind of stays in place a little bit. I personally want it a little thicker so that it can hold up to the freezer a little bit better. We want all that nice air in it, but it's a beautiful taste. It's nice and bitter and sweet. So I think we've really got something nice here. The same person, Najoa Lawson, who did this recipe, has a salted caramel version of this no churn ice cream, and she also has a bourbon version of this ice cream. So definitely check it out, because the nice idea of having an ice cream that you can just kind of whip it up. It's a one bowl ice cream, which I think is fantastic. All right, here we go. I think that's what we want right now. All right, so the other thing that I really liked about this is you could also do it with a hand mixer. Okay, so you can, if you only have a hand mixer and you don't have a stand mixer like this one, absolutely you can do it with a stand mixer as well. All right, so I've got my pan. You'll see it's a similar one to the one I had before. I'm gonna get all my stuff out of the way here. Oop. And we're just gonna scrape it in. You can see the trail that my spatula leaves behind. It just pulls it right down in there. It's super beautiful and light and airy. And even if you didn't want to use this for ice cream and you just wanted to use it for like a whipped cream on top of a trifle or something like that, that would make a really great, it would make that great, that or icebox cake. If you've ever made an icebox cake with like the wafer cookies and stuff like that, you could absolutely use it for that. Look at how light and airy it is. If you wanted to make this vegan or something similar, you would still have to have a thick cream that you could whip. So they do now have a plant-based whipping cream that you can get. And I think sometimes you can whip up, it's not quite to the same effect, but you could whip up coconut milk sometimes. And a coffee coconut would taste really good as well. So you can see that we've got like this trail that we can leave through. You can make it really decorative and pretty, but after we freeze it, it should make a really nice ice cream that you can scoop with an ice cream scoop. So there's our last one that we're making together tonight. And I think it went pretty good. This one is really, this is like really, really yummy. You have to like coffee, because we have two different kinds of coffee products in there. Very strong coffee flavor, but that's what we wanted. We wanted to be able to take, we don't want to put too much liquid in, because again, it'll make it soupy. We don't want it soupy. So we wanted to make sure that we kept the coffee flavor without putting too much liquid. And I think we really balanced it pretty well. We're able to taste all that coffee goodness, that coffee concentration, without having a soupy, watery kind of coffee slushy kind of effect to it. So that's it. Did anybody see anything? I hope people saw some stuff out there that they think they might be able to make at home or try for themselves. Did anybody have any questions about the stuff that they saw today, or have any suggestions on how we could adapt some of these recipes for other things? I know Donna's got questions.
You betcha.
I just made
Natalie, going way back
we
to
just
the
made
beginning.
3 ice creams in 30 minutes.
That it's amazing. It's amazing. I wanted to ask you, you were talking about adding herbs to the granita. What kind of herbs would you suggest?
So if you're going to do the lemon, a lemon thyme might be a good idea. That's a very classic combination. You could get food grade lavender. And I would go easy on that, because lavender can be an overpowering, but lemon lavender would be great. Blood orange and cardamom would be awesome. You could even do like a pineapple and like jalapeno, and you could put the jalapeno right into the simple syrup and then add pineapple juice to it. Pineapple granita would be great, because you can easily get pineapple juice all the time. You know, that would be great.
all of those sound delicious, but I stopped at the cardamom. That would have just been my favorite.
Yeah, blood orange and cardamom. I actually had a fancy soda the other day that was blood orange cardamom, and it was very, very good.
Interesting.
Mhm.
The coffee ice cream,
Mhm.
I can pitch in and say that we have used the coconut milk, and it does whip up
Whip up
like
nice
whipped
and
cream.
scary. Mhm.
And it isn't quite as rich, but it
Yeah.
does give you the texture, and
Yeah,
it's very, very good.
good.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Well, pals, we did like an express run through desserts. I hope I didn't talk
Really?
too fast.
I had an outlet for your coffee ice cream if you did happen to over whip it and make it into coffee butter.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be good on cinnamon rolls?
Oh, totally. Or like even like a plain scone or a biscuit would be fantastic.
I know.
Be
I
great.
just,
Mhm.
I also, while we're waiting to see if anyone else has comments, I also want to know who gets to lick the beater and the bowl and.
Well, my whole family's gone, so I do. It's
Oh.
me. I'm
Good
sorry, I hit my
thinking.
microphone. So
Good
I'm the lucky
thinking.
one today.
Good. Okay, I am not seeing
Mhm.
any more questions. If anybody does have any, let me know and I'll forward them on to Natalie. We also will have the recipes posted along with a recording of this program tomorrow afternoon.
Mhm.
I think that's it. If
Perfect.
anyone has a suggestion of other things they would like to see Natalie take on in her kitchen, let us know and we'll see what we can arrange. I
Yeah,
guess
you
that's
never
it
know
for-
what we'll come up with. So,
No, that's right. I'm thrilled over this whole thing. So I want to thank our audience for attending, and I hope you've been, do we have another
We
one?
have one question. Kathleen asks if it's okay to freeze them overnight. Absolutely. That's just the minimum amount of time to scoopability. You know what I'm saying? So like you can freeze this and then you could just keep it in your freezer and have ice cream for you. Like it's fine. Obviously, things get freezer burn, things get damaged if they're in the freezer for too long, but you eat it in a month. I mean, who lets ice cream stay in their freezer? But it'll be a couple hours until it's ready to eat in the freezer. But after that, you can keep it in there as long as you want.
It says, are you going to show us?
Oh, I forgot about the granita.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding
That
me.
was the next question.
Okay, well, we're only going to have a little bit, but you'll be able to see what it's starting to be like. I think the recipe states that it takes a couple of hours to set, but let me grab a fork. So you can see it's still mostly liquid, but I've got some ice, the edges start to freeze first. So then you go through and you pull. I've got foil in here just because who knows what my cookie sheets are like, but we went so fast through the program. So you start to pull it in and you want these ice chunks to start to chunk up together. And so you'll scrape it to the middle and then you'll do that a couple more times. You want to keep visiting it. You don't want to forget about it like I did so that you can come back in and start to scrape it and get it nice and chunked and crystally. Otherwise, it's going to turn into one big ice cube. And you don't want one big flat ice cube. You want it to be nice and chunky. And then you can just scoop it right into people's bowls or cups or half lemons or whatever you want, that kind of thing. So that is the start of granita. And you can then you put it back in the freezer and let it freeze some more. But I'm glad we at least got to see what some ice crystals were like. And the other part about scraping it as you go along is that, sorry, I got to focus. Oh man, that was a close one. The other part about scraping it is you want to make sure that all that beautiful lemon zest that you scraped off is going to be mixed in. If you just let it sit in there flat, it's going to sink all to the bottom and all of the lemon zest will be at the bottom of your granita. And you don't want that. You want it mixed through all the way. Thank you, Linda, for reminding us. But yeah, so I hope that people try it. I want to see the different kinds of granitas you make. It's going to be like 97 on Thursday. So get out there and make a granita and sit in your backyard and eat it.
I think it sounds wonderful. And if
Yeah.
anybody does try these recipes, and I hope somebody does,
Mhm.
post your pictures on Facebook so that we can all enjoy
Yeah.
them and
Tag.
see how you took it on. It would be
Yeah.
great.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you to our audience for attending, and I hope you've enjoyed this program. Please complete the short pop-up survey that will appear when we close the connection. And Natalie, I'll turn it back over to you for closing comments.
Perfect. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Again, it's awesome to try some cool stuff during the summer, cool both temperature-wise and vibe-wise. Thanks again for participating and asking questions, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Great. Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to
All right.
everyone. Until
Bye,
next
guys.
time. Good night.